What's up, everyone? Excited to give this video today about Virgin Galactic, which is up over 25% today as we see, technicals kind of swing bullish as we predicted on this channel on Friday. But with that being said, I'll jump into some social media volume trends and mentions we're seeing for the stock. And then I'll jump into the charts and give my short-term price prediction. And at the end of the video, I'll go over a couple fundamental things that I think you need to know if you're a long-term shareholder for this stock. With that being said, let's jump right in. So on StockTwits here, Space SPCE Virgin Galactic is the fourth most mentioned ticker on the platform. So not super shocking there. Obviously, shares are jumping a ton off of news that there will be the first space tour at the end of this month, which is absolutely insane. Really great news for the company, obviously. And they're going to do a space tour, a space flight for tours or for tourism at the end of every single month now. And then in terms of Twitter volume, we can see here that Virgin Galactic was the most mentioned name, most mentioned stock on Twitter. So awesome to see that. It's definitely, a good sign to see that social media mentions and volume is kind of following, prices higher. So good to see that. Hopefully, more retail people get involved and we see more buyers come into the market. With that being said, let's jump into the chart and I will give you my short term price prediction for shares. Obviously, if you've been watching this channel, you would know that I had basically called this move down to the moving averages today. And for your visual confirmation, I will play that clip right now. If we can get a move back down to the moving averages, then I will likely buy some shares. Yeah, so as you heard there, I was basically predicting that we would come back down to test this 200-day moving average before continuing higher. That's exactly what happened today. So awesome to see there. We opened up at about 470, so right near that 200-day moving average, which is where I put on some calls for the Discord, which if you're not in, you can join in the description below. But so where are we moving going forward? That's the real question, right? So obviously we held this 200-day moving average, which I think is very crucial. And now the next major level of resistance is around $6.87. That's kind of where shares had topped out back in February. Also where shares had topped out back in June. Also where shares had bottomed out in August of 2022. Also where shares had bottomed out in March of 2022. So why does all that matter? Well, the more touch points you can get on a resistance or support level, the more validity, the more strength that level has to hold or reject a certain, trade, certain price, obviously, for any stock or commodity. So major resistance at that level, be on the lookout for that level. I would likely do some call selling at that point, not selling new calls, just selling my existing calls around that $677 level. But with that being said, I don't think, this is necessarily a top for the stock. I think if we move up to this level, we could likely see some consolidation, especially given shares are overbought according to RSI. So I think we likely move up to this level, consolidate, RSI falls from overbought levels, and then we continue higher. And really, whenever we burst through this $7 resistance level, I will become not just bullish like I am right now. I'll become ultra bullish on this stock. Um, so happy to see that the price has kind of played out like we thought it would. Obviously, bullish momentum above all daily moving averages, and the stock has outperformed the market. So, really great looking chart. I think it sets up for more upside. Just be on the lookout for that $7 resistance level, $670 resistance zone. So, be on the lookout for that. With that being said, I will jump into some seasonality trends we're seeing for the stock. So, as you can see, May, June, July, these are the best 3 months for shares. So first off, just to give you a breakdown of what this screen shows, This screen basically shows the average monthly return for shares. So in May, on average, shares jump 12%. In June, on average, shares jump 24%. So this 3 month stretch is quite a bullish one. So I think, we have the technicals lining up. Obviously, we got a great fundamental news coming out with obviously, having the tourism obviously kick off and finally start at the end of this month and have tours and flights every single month thereafter. So with that being said, bullish technicals, bullish fundamental news, bullish seasonality trends. I think you add it all up and it looks like a pretty good buy here. So that's my personal opinion, not financial advice. But to give you a longer breakdown on shares, I will cover the fundamentals of the stock, which I have in a video last week. So it's all very relevant, but I'll basically just play that clip right now for you. But now I will move over to the fundamentals of the company. So obviously everyone loves the sexy news. We're up 43% after hours. But, anytime you buy shares on the stock market, you're buying a portion of a company's earnings, a portion of the company's assets on their balance sheet. So what are those, right? Let's take a look. And for those that don't know, this is Seeking Alpha, and basically these factor grades put the valuation, growth, profitability, momentum, or visions in relation. They grade them relative to peers, right? So valuation relative to peers, Seeking Alpha is giving it a C minus. Growth relative to peers, Seeking Alpha is giving it a B plus. And I will go into each one of these to kind of explain specifically why this is the grade that's being given. So in terms of price to book ratio, the stock has a 3.3 price to book. This is something I always look at. It's one of my favorite metrics to look because it's very firm and there's not really any fluff in this number. It's not a projection. So for those that don't know, price to book ratio basically means the value of their assets on their balance sheet relative to their market cap. So a 3.3 price to book ratio means that the market cap is 3.3 times the value of the assets on their balance sheet. And that is above the sector median, but it's tough to, honestly, all these sector grades are a little hard to, be graded against because this stock is in its own league, right? There should be a new industry that says space tourism, and there's one stock in it. You know what I mean? So it's a tough comp. But with that being said, it's a tough comp, and it still grades out pretty decently. Obviously, EV to sales pretty high, and the company doesn't make money yet. But with their first, flight coming later this month, I think we're likely going to have a shot to move to profitability pretty quickly. And let's look at revenue growth. So revenue growth year over year, looking back 12 months, revenue has dropped 33%, and that is well below the sector median of 12. Revenue growth for the next 12 months, though, that's why we got the forward designation there, is 122%, which is well above the 8.5%. And keep in mind, this number was set before they were 100% sure they were going to have flights going this month. So, this probably will be revised higher. So good signs there. CapEx growth, 212% compared to the sector median of 21%. So really good signs there. Growth is definitely, rationalizing the high valuation, right? So that's always what you look for when you're investing in a growth stock. Valuation is always going to look very poor, but as long as the growth lines up and is showing a good opportunity and tons of upside, then the valuation can remain high. It's somewhat logical to do that, obviously. But with that being said, let's move into revisions. For those that don't know, analysts put out EPS and revenue expectations for a stock for every single quarter that they report. So it's basically, JP Morgan's analysts, Goldman Sachs analysts putting EPS and revenue expectations for every quarter, and they will take those expectations for EPS and revenue up or down based on company specific news, larger market news, consumer data, so it's a wide range of factor on why they would take these down. But it's interesting to see that three separate analysts move their EPS revisions down, but move their EPS revisions up, and then four analysts move their EPS revisions down. And then in terms of revenue, five analysts move their revenue expectations up, and two move their revenue expectations down. So net, we do have Wall Street being net bullish over the past 3 months, which is obviously a good sign for the stock. So when you could consider this, that Wall Street is getting more bullish on the stock, not by much, but hey, this is all before the major news that we got today, right? So that should even help, Wall Street, have higher convictions on this stock going forward. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed that breakdown. I will end the video there. If you got some value from this video, please leave a like. We post company breakdowns and important market moving news on this channel on a daily basis, so make sure you are subscribed. If you would like to receive my daily portfolio moves, my exits, my entries, and see how me and my team of analysts are trading the markets, join the Discord through the link in the description below to get our free 7-day trial. Also, if you would like to join our free daily newsletter, sign up to our Substack, which is linked below as well. With that being said, good luck everyone. Happy trading, happy investing.